part of our biggest journey is identity and reframing how we've experienced the world and how it is we want to continue through life.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Aspergers from the Inside. Today we've got a bit of a special video for those of you who may have discovered autism later in life. We're here with Diane J. Wright, the founder of Autistic.com, which is a large online community for late identified autistic adults, which includes 2 spaces dedicated to autistic people of colour. So Diane stumbled into learning she's autistic at the age of 42, and now she guides adults who are surprised to learn after careers, children, and sometimes even grandchildren that neurodivergence may explain their lives. So welcome, Diane. Really great to speak to you today.
Thank you for having me.
So over the years, you've helped a lot of people with your community and resources. So from your experience with your group, what is it that newly diagnosed adults really want or need to know?
So as you said, I do host communities for autistic people of color and for late identified autistic adults. And the questions people ask often are specific to those unique experiences within the larger autistic community. So my largest community, called Surprise, You're Autistic, has thousands of members.
Surprise!
Surprise, whoops. Each who have reported that they've learned they were autistic well into adulthood. So we even have members in their 70s and 80s who have recently learned that who they are. And that makes me so happy. I mean, they have so much knowledge to share and are getting a chance to live their true selves. So it's pretty cool. So believe it or not, though, late diagnosis in the medical community I'm told, refers to anyone labeled after 3. So that isn't really concerned. That doesn't really address the concerns of people in our communities, right? So late identified is the term that I created to include adults who are at the beginning stages of their discovery, some of whom may never seek diagnosis, whether by choice or by circumstance. So for those very early in, I've developed a course called Am I Autistic that condenses most of the groundwork in one place so people can get to their answers a little faster. But I'm not answering your question. So what people want to know, generally it's like 3 big things. There are a lot of things, but they boil down to about 3: diagnosis, communication, and sensory issues, right? So diagnosis is generally, how do I get one? Because when people start connecting those dots about their lives, almost everything that we encounter out there is about how irredeemably horrible autistic life is, right? So this,
all of the things that you struggle with, and all of the things that all the problems you're going to have, and
it's all very negative, and then you're going to get worried. I mean, that's all. There's not much good and it's all bad. So you're going to start wondering about yourself, and you want to know, and you want to know quickly. So they come asking about that. Unfortunately, as you know, Paul, it's not just as simple as that, right? Two things about that. Autism is not yet diagnosed in a lab or by imaging. So you can't just answer a series of yes or no questions and get a prescription. You can't it's just not that quick and easy. You have to be observed. It's diagnosed by deduction and reported information on your behavior. So that interpretation is really highly variable, as you know, and as your viewers probably know. And it's based on a large number of factors, including how current the assessor you're seeing is with the science. And the science is evolving very, very quickly. Some would say slowly, but it's evolving. And the definition of autism is in flux, right? So researchers are just now expanding their work to include girls, women, people of color. And that leaves a lot of updating to be done, and it'll take years to trickle down to local assessors as the science evolves. So you can't just stroll in and go, hey, am I autistic?
A question I often hear is around I've been masking so well my whole life that I
Yeah.
got to the age of 70 without anyone thinking I might be autistic. If I
Mhm.
just turn up to a psychologist and ask them the question, they're probably going to say, don't be ridiculous. You don't fit any of the stereotypes that I've heard of. So,
And that does happen. Yes, it absolutely does. And then, you're left confused. You don't know what to think because you've done all this research and it, for the first time in your life, maybe sounds exactly like you or
mm,
more like you than anything else. And you go to someone who's an expert and they don't see you. And, that's
mm,
that's damaging and difficult and unfortunately part of the process at this part of history.
mm.
Um, we
So
do our best, right?
before we move on to the next question that people ask, do you have any quick advice for someone who is in that situation and worried about all the things that we've just mentioned?
Advice. My advice to most of these questions and situations is shift your focus to getting to know yourself. Even if you do go for formal diagnosis, you are fortunate enough to have the privilege to have access to those resources. Um, it's still not one and done. It could be, but it might not be. And the only way you're really going to trust what it is someone tells you is if you already know yourself.
Mm.
If you're walking in off the street and saying, hey, give me a test, let me know, it may come back, hey, you're autistic. And you're like, wait, I don't believe you because I've been here my whole life and I feel like me. So getting to know yourself is always the best path. And
And I guess
whether
that
or not you get a diagnosis, you'll end up adjusting your life to better fit who you are.
And I guess that's where the community comes in as well, because they can help you explore this new idea of being autistic and what it might mean.
Well, not just explore it, but see yourself in others, right? It's that very basic human need to see ourselves reflected in our world. And for us, when we're such a small percentage of the large population, we don't see that very often, especially in our immediate friends and family. Um, we may not only not see ourselves, but what we do express may be negated or invalidated
Yeah.
consistently by in the workplace, in the family, et cetera. So when you get to hang out with people who get you, who live life like you, it's extremely empowering.
Even just to be validated so strongly for the first time. Yeah.
Yeah, and not that the autistic community is absolutely like roses every day all the time. I mean, we are all the people. So there are all the experiences just like there would be anywhere else.
So what was that second thing that you said that people often ask about? Sensory
Yeah,
issues?
yeah, we were talking about the three things. So one was diagnosis, and I wanted to make sure to get in there that often it's women who arrive in the communities
Mhm.
with this satchel full of misdiagnoses, because there's a long and colorful, and by colorful I mean damaging, history of women being dismissed and misdiagnosed across the board. So yes, a person can have mental health issues and autism, but just like anyone else. But where we are in the science, it's common that women are told they're bipolar or they're borderline or
Yeah.
anything else other than autistic because they're just not seen. And it was impossible for us to be. So we're struggling with that. But the second thing that people want to know about are communication issues, our encounters with the rest of the world. So how are we in relationship? Let's try to make sense of that, right? So the people in my communities have grown into adulthood not realizing that they're fundamentally different from everyone else. We just live in this world of like misfires and weird interactions, and it's hurtful. And without context, we just carry that and it snowballs and it snowballs. And maybe you make it through your 20s, maybe you make it through your 30s, but 40 starts to crawl up and you're tired and you can't understand what's happening because it just keeps happening no matter what you try. And people ask about that. Like, why are my friendships breaking down? Why are my romantic relationships never coming to fruition? Why am I estranged from my parents? Or what was that assumption made in the workplace, right?
The what's wrong with me narrative can be quite strong, especially when there's been so much, it's
Yeah.
tried so hard. And so even the news that it is a communication thing and it is possible to, you know, learn some of those skills.
Well, and the trick is that, yeah, absolutely. And for us, specifically in the people who have not known they were autistic for decades, it may not always be a what's wrong with me. It may be like, this thing keeps happening. I don't get what I'm doing wrong.
Oh, yep.
So part of our masking is learning all the behaviors we're supposed to do or what work, you know, and we keep trying different routes and different angles, and they still keep coming, like they still don't work because we don't understand that we're communicating completely differently. Not completely, but fundamentally differently. So once we get that insight, we can learn how to communicate better. It's a skill, right? Like anyone else has to learn that. And the third thing, I'm just blathering on. I'm sorry. The third thing, sensory issues. Also a tricky one because many people, even when they know they're autistic, do not see and recognize their sensory issues.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I didn't for a very long time.
It's normal, right? I just thought everyone else did it this way.
Well, yeah, or I didn't even think about it. And then when I read about people like wearing headphones all the time, I flat out was like, well, I'm fine. I don't seem to need them. I've never needed them. Everything's cool until I bought the headphones and tried them and found that I had all this energy after I went to the grocery store and I wasn't like exhausted. Like it removed some of the input I was processing. And I started realizing, oh, I'm wearing sunglasses all the time. Oh, I don't like itchy wool sweaters. Like it started dawning on me that I absolutely have sensory issues. Most of us do, if not all.
How much you had been putting up with that you didn't really need to be putting up with.
Yeah. And, you know, there's no shorthand to discuss this in the world. You don't run around saying, how peppery was that smell to you on a scale of 1 to 5? Like, it just doesn't come up. So you're not really going to understand it or know it unless you are aware of your neurology, what that encompasses, and start looking inwards.
Something else that can be a bit invalidating in that sense is there are some things that are a little bit unpleasant to everybody. And so when you tell someone this is really unpleasant, they go, oh yeah, tell me about it. Wool is just itchy. Everyone knows wool is itchy.
Yeah.
For you, it's 10 times.
Your itchy is here and their itchy is down here, and you're like going out of your mind. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Some other things that come up a lot, overwhelm, meltdown, shutdown, and burnout. All of those, the after effects of an overloaded neurological system, sensory input is part of that, right? It's not a tantrum, not a panic attack. It's not willful, inconvenient behavior, right? Like understanding who we are really can shift how we feel about ourselves and how we can then communicate with other people about how to interact with us. Disclosing, if to disclose, when, how. If you do, what happens when you're not believed, when you're rejected by your personal, like friends and family and close people, bullying, like there's real world consequences of living openly. So we need a space to talk about that because it's often, it has to be just us.
And what strikes me about these questions is that they are legitimately really complicated and really specific to your personal situation and your personal, whatever autism actually means for you in your life, which is why it's hard to get generic answers for these. But I guess in a community, you can chat to people who have had similar experiences and sort of work it out together.
Yeah, I mean, only when you start interacting with people who live similarly to you do you get that it me feeling, right? And that is one of the best feelings there is when you haven't had it your whole life. So we also do fun stuff like talk about literal wordplay and memes that show who we are. It's not all like heavy and serious, but it is all relating to surprisingly common threads we have in our lives that turn out to be because of our neurology.
Okay, well, there's probably lots of people watching who would love to check out your community and your website and your resources. Do you want to tell us a little bit about them before we finish up?
Yeah, so as I said, Surprise You're Autistic is about people, it's for people who believe they were like everyone else when they were growing up and didn't find out until, mid-30s kind of thing. Autistic BIPOC or Black and Indigenous people of color and autistic women of color allow spaces to talk about how we experience that multiplicity of being a minority in many facets of society, which is very specific and very often overlooked, especially in our own communities, because our autism awareness in the racial minority community is abysmal. Mm. We don't even see ourselves, and we have been told that this doesn't apply. So there's a lot there, and we just have spaces to talk about all of those things so we can find each other, interact freely, and get support from each other.
Okay, so what's the best place for people to go for information?
Well, I would say you could go to my website, which is autistic.com, where you can find communities, events, activities, and the course I developed called Am I Autistic? For people who are at the beginning of their journey and they're going to find out one way or the other. But what I've done is I've compressed all the groundwork, all the basics that you're going to discover piecemeal because you're probably out there floundering around on your own. I've compressed all that into one little course that you can do in a day, like read through everything in a day and check out the resources on your own later. Because it's for us, by us, right? It's nothing about us without us. So if someone out there is wondering if they are autistic or recently figured it out or found out through diagnosis, I think it's the most important thing you can do is find others, get into the Twitter community or the community on Instagram, or come to Facebook and find us and learn how to rebuild your life.
Okay, well, thanks for that, Diane. It's been really helpful. I hope everyone watching today has found that helpful too. And yeah, bye-bye, and we'll see you again another time. See ya.
Okay.